The marketing conversation is a loaded conversation for sure, because it is a journey. It's always changing, it's adapting based on your business model. And as your businesses adjust, as a business, you should be adjusting on a regular basis. That's the only way you grow. And being able to adjust that marketing strategy. But I know we've talked about our previous episodes. In our previous episodes, marketing goes back into your art theme, and we're going to talk about logos, you said, and taglines in a later episode. But what we've already talked about is like accessibility. Right, all these things are going to play into how you develop your marketing strategy. It's going to be hard to do your marketing strategy with any kind of finite focus, unless you already have a product in mind and you already have a kind of a style and a brand kind of emerging. I say emerging because you might be a young company, you might already have a vision, but your marketing will come back to you. Like our quote says, money comes in, says I've made all the right marketing decisions. When you start making that money with your marketing and your that means all this that we've been talking about is starting to click together, and the marketing starts becoming the proof of that.
Right. So here's another example. Number one, you have to have a goal, right? Your marketing will change, yes, but the goal and the vision, very minor adjustments. It's the process that changes. So so here's an example. The goal is a 5K. All right. And so let's say me and you are going to do a 5K along with them.
I thought you meant $5,000.
Right, or $5,000.
We're going to go jogging, all
right?
We're
going to do a 5K run. Let's say me and you are going to do a 5K run along with, several thousand people because it's a Peachtree Road Race or something.
Right.
I don't even know how long that race is, but whatever.
Which I've done. A 5K usually takes about 30 minutes.
Sure, for your body.
Well, yeah.
See? Okay, so now, see, we have a goal. 5K, 5 miles, or 5K, what is 5 kilometers? 5K is 5 kilometers.
It's 3.2 or something,
3.2,
right?
okay.
3.2
so
miles.
5 kilometers, but the K stands for kilometers, right?
Right.
So we're talking about, so the goal is to run or walk, or it's 5 kilometers.
Right.
And so with your body, it takes 30 minutes.
Right.
With my body, it's going to take a different amount of time.
Right.
You're going to go at a particular speed. I'm going to go on a different speed. See, now that's the strategy. Now you start thinking about strategy. Well, because your body is in a particular shape, you can go all in, run really fast, sweat it all out, and it takes 30 minutes. I don't know
about all that.
Right? Yeah. Well, so whatever speed, right? Whereas if I tried that, I'll get 3 blocks down the way, and then I'm going to have to stop.
Right.
And so that's how marketing is. We have an end goal, 5 kilometers. There is a goal post for that. There's a goal line.
Right.
There is a line.
Yep.
The finish line. The finish line is there. The finish line is money in my pockets.
Right.
Right. Artwork out the door.
Right.
But the route, your body type, the training that you've done, right? The gear that you're wearing. If you're in full military gear with a backpack.
The gear being the social platforms.
It could be the social platform. Yeah. It's a combination of a lot of different things.
Right.
The kind of, yes, of course, let's say that, the gear. But it could also be the route.
Right.
Because I've been in 5Ks where, we have a shortcut for slow people.
I love those shortcuts.
Right. And whereas some other people don't need a shortcut. And they actually want, the badge and all this other stuff.
Right.
Right. And so when you start adding all those things together, then there's a strategy for it. And if you if you know your 5K is not right now, but in 6 months, you're like, well, my strategy is going to be to train now.
Right. I follow you.
Whereas if we're told right now, we're like, okay, I guess I'll do that.
Right.
But now you're not prepared. Now you don't know how to walk. You don't know how to breathe.
Right.
You're having difficulties, and that's what social media strategy is like. If you're not prepared and you're not ready to tell your story.
Very cool analogy. I like that analogy. Okay.
If you're not ready to tell your story, you're not ready to engage with your audience.
Right.
Then no matter how good the product is not going to sell because your marketing is off.
Right. And that all comes down to your branding. Your branding is going to help you.
Branding is part of it.
It's part of your marketing. Exactly.
Part of it. Branding is part of it. Correct. But the branding is more of a feeling and emotion that people get when they hear your name.
Right, but you got to have that ahead of time before you jump into
build
marketing.
that. You build that. You build that. And that's the training.
Right.
If you give me 2 years to train, I'll be in your shape when it's time to run.
Right. See, I never thought about marketing my artwork until I had my brand kind of in order. But for me, that was me training for the marketing aspect of it. Right. I already had my products going, and I'm constantly going to paint and create, and knowing who I'm creating for, knowing my processes, all that kind of stuff, and knowing my demographic all helped that plan of the marketing, right? So that's what kind of what you get.
But the more you talk about your art, the more your art becomes a brand.
Right.
You don't wait to talk about it till it's time for marketing. You start talking about it now.
Right. No,
So you get to the point where it becomes a brand.
Right. Well, I'm saying like I didn't market myself as Miles Davis art. That's not what I did. I started out as Massive Burn Studios.
Right, but nobody knows who Massive Burn Studios is
and I had to
until
build
they
a
see
brand.
the artwork.
Right, but when I was doing advertisements though, like I wasn't going out like when I did the Juxtapose ad, like I mentioned, or the High Fructose ad. Like I didn't go in and do, Miles Davis art.
And why not?
That, because that wasn't my brand. My brand was Massive Burn Studios, and there was two strategies.
Okay, see, I think we have to define certain things.
Okay.
The brand is an emotion or feeling people get when they hear about something. And and that's a result of them seeing and hearing something.
Oh, see, I'm talking about brand as an actual tangible entity.
Well,
that's what I'm talking about.
Right, and that's a different word for that. And so now, and I forget, I have to look it up. But that tangible thing is created through marketing. Now it's a message, and now it's I forget. I have to look it up, man. But anyways, go ahead.
Well, what I'm just saying is the fact, like, as an artist, entrepreneur, from my experience and my own personal creative journey, I didn't want to go market. Well, first off, my name is Miles Davis. I couldn't do milesdavis.com.
So that was a problem, because if you use that,
right,
the branding already says it stands for this other thing.
Right. He was also a painter.
Of course.
As well.
Sure.
So like if I do,
they're not going to think
milesdavis.com,
about you. They're not going to think about your things.
Right.
They're going to think about something. See, the branding for that already exists.
Right. So I couldn't do milesdavis.com. So I had to do something else. So I had to build a brand. But when I started building, and I know this is a future episode, it's going to be about logo and you said tagline, right? So we're going to talk about that in one of our future episodes. But all that came into play for me before I still marketed, but I didn't go in like gung-ho, like marketing with print ads and digital ads and things like that, until I kind of had that consolidated business front.
So
to
that's
speak.
called identity.
Okay.
What you were doing with Massive
The brand
Burns
identity.
is establishing your identity.
Okay.
That is, and you did not use Miles Davis, because then that would have brought in the branding of Miles Davis in the last 100 years. People who know Miles Davis know who he is and have heard of him and have this whole other idea of what Miles Davis is.
Right.
So you needed to establish your own identity, which is why you use Massive Burns.
Correct.
So you first,
One of the reasons.
so there's branding, and then there's identity.
Right.
And so what
your
happens
brand
first?
identity, right?
What happens first is identity. You identify. That's what you did. You did the ads, and right now you're identifying your work and your name to who you are.
Right.
As time goes on and you continue marketing and sharing, then it becomes a brand.
Okay.
After a while, people say Miles Davis. They'll be like, which one?
Right.
And now,
that's the goal.
Right.
That's
and
the
now
goal.
they'll say, now they'll know when they say which one, that means that you've established your branding to the point that people are asking, and now they know there's more than one.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. For sure.
So there's two different things.
Right. You're
and
talking about identifying with the brand, and you're saying brand. Right. We're flipping the words, and they're almost synonymous in a weird way.
They're almost synonymous, but they're not. One happens before, one happens after.
Okay.
Identity means to identify.
Okay.
So you're identifying who you are. Now I say Delta Tango Mike, DTM, the Creative Genius. I've identified myself.
Right.
Once you start looking into my work, the next time people hear about me or see me, and this happened last week when I was in New York, people, they know me. They see my face. They know me. They know the bald head. They know the big beard.
Right.
Hey, that's Dan.
Right.
That's the brand now. They know they've identified my brand, and now they recognize me because of the brand.
Right.
But first I had to identify who I am so that it gets into people's consciousness and mind.
Right. Well, and that's what I'm saying to our audience. I was just saying that I feel like from my personal journey, I had to develop that logo and that brand first.
The identity.
The identity.
The identity.
Well, that's what I'm saying,
Stop saying brand. I'm gonna
it
start
is
punching
a
you.
brand.
No.
Because it's I start with the vision and then I build to that.
Right. Identity. The identity, correct.
Okay.
In the vision is something that's way out there. This is the kind of life you want to live.
Right.
So you build towards that vision.
Right.
And one of the things you build is you first identify who you are.
Right.